Hi, I'm Dr. Bruce Chalmer. In part 1 of this video, we talked about how passion dies, how your sexy, turned-on relationship can become a cold, frustrating black hole of despair. We saw how it's normal, painful but normal, for your fear of losing each other to so sensitize you to each other's fear that you end up in a cycle of fire or ice that leaves you feeling miserable. It seems like you can have intimacy that flames or freezes out, or you can have stability without intimacy. But you can't have both unless you can escape the cycle. And as I said in part 1, the way out of the cycle is to learn the skills you need to be able to handle intimacy. So how do you do that? What are the skills you need, and how can you go about acquiring them? How do you get the passion back? This is what brings a lot of couples to me for therapy. And often what they're looking for is a program, a set of rules or communication techniques for when they get into an argument, or relaxation exercises, or graduated practice in emotional, physical, and sexual intimacy. And there's a place for those sorts of programmed activities, and no end of books, workshops, videos, and therapists who will gladly instruct you in them. The thing is, those programmed activities won't help you until you've matured enough to benefit from them. If you're still freaking out or freezing up in response to your own or your partner's anxiety, rules and techniques just become additional ways to torment each other as you proceed to fight about why you're each doing it wrong. You've probably been there by now if you're watching this video. I've often commented that rules for handling emotionally difficult situations are great, except when you need them. When you're calm, you don't need the rules, and when you're freaking out, you can't even remember them, much less apply them. Okay, so what are the skills you need to be able to have both intimacy and stability? In short, you need to learn to tolerate anxiety. Not eliminate it, tolerate it. And the more you learn to tolerate anxiety, the less anxiety controls you. You become able to risk being who you are, even if you're not sure how someone vitally important to you will react. When I talk about maturity, that's what I'm referring to. Doesn't sound very sexy, does it? Well, you might be surprised just how sexy it is. Because when you can risk being yourself and handle the potential for disappointment or rejection, you can allow yourself to desire and even express your desire to your partner. Does it seem odd that passionate, intimate connection is all about tolerating anxiety rather than reducing it? Think about it. When someone does everything you want, it's very relaxing and it's lovely at first, and then profoundly boring. What kindles desire and keeps it burning is when someone is doing something different, not the same old, same old. That means they do things you hadn't thought of and maybe you aren't sure about. That means they risk doing things that make you anxious, at least at first. Desire is, after all, itself a form of anxiety. You're feeling something is missing and you intensely need it to feel better. Sexual teasing is all about triggering that very anxiety. Seducing someone is about driving them mad with desire, not about calming them and relieving their stress. I'm not saying that calming each other is a bad thing. On the contrary, learning to soothe each other is every bit as important to your couple's stability as tolerating anxiety is to your intimacy. I'm just saying that the skills of calming each other aren't the same as the skills of tolerating anxiety, and you need both for intimacy to last. Couples who can't tolerate anxiety soon find themselves stuck in routine, comfortable patterns with each other, sexually and otherwise. That's what we talked about in part 1. That's what leads to the death spiral for intimacy. So the skills you need to be mature enough for a relationship that is both stable and passionately intimate are the skills of tolerating anxiety. Well, fine. You have to learn to tolerate anxiety. How are you supposed to do that if you're not good at it yet? If you watch my other videos, you won't be surprised at my answer. The answer is you have to develop faith. For an intimate, passionate, sexy relationship, you need faith. Who knew? You need 3 kinds of faith, in fact. Faith in your own validity, faith in your ability to handle what happens, and faith in the big picture. So let's see what each kind of faith has to do with the capacity for intimacy. First, you need faith in your own validity as a person. When you can self-validate, you don't have to constantly seek validation from your partner, which is not only fundamentally impossible, but also profoundly unsexy. Your validity as a person is an axiom, not a provable or disprovable idea. You don't need evidence for it. You start from it. This faith gives you the courage to face your own desires and attend to your own integrity. It means you'll let yourself know what you do and don't want. You can't possibly show up in an intimate relationship unless you're clear with yourself that you have a right to be who you are. Faith in your validity doesn't make you arrogant or rigid. In fact, you can only be flexible, considerate, and generous if you have a clear sense of your own basic validity. You can only say yes if you know you're able to say no. For a lot of people, finding faith in your own validity means overcoming history, specifically a history of abuse. If you've been abused, especially as a child, the idea that you're a valid person might sound impossible. You might even have had to absorb the falsehood that you're fundamentally bad. Because to a child being abused, the idea that you might be valid means you have to believe the people abusing you are bad, and that's unthinkably terrifying if those people are the ones you depend upon for your very life. This is why unprocessed abuse can wreak havoc on your ability to tolerate intimacy. If you're convinced that you're somehow a bad person, you need to work on that. Get yourself into therapy. The second kind of faith you need is faith in your ability to handle what happens, also known as resilience. This faith means that even when things get difficult, you'll know you'll figure it out somehow, even if it hurts, and even if you have to reevaluate cherished beliefs and narratives. Because it turns out that you might have to cope with not getting everything you want. You might even have to face the decision to break up rather than accept the consequences of staying. Whatever you decide, you'll need to accept responsibility for your own decision and your own happiness. All of this requires faith in your own resilience. Whatever limitations are imposed on you by circumstance, and there are always limitations, it's up to you to make the best of it. This faith gives you the courage to make hard decisions and act with strength and clarity. Third, you need faith in the big picture, in the fundamental rightness of reality as a whole, however painful or incomprehensible it can be at times. In short, faith that your life has purpose. This means you can see your life, your love, and your identity as meaningful parts of something much bigger than you and your partner. Check my video called Why Get Married for more about that idea. This faith gives you the courage to live by your values and act with commitment and dedication. It means you experience your life as meaningful even when it's hard. Do you see why faith is the key to having a lasting, intimate relationship? The three kinds of faith let you act with confidence, resilience, and purpose, so you can stand up for what's important to you, even at the risk of displeasing your partner, as well as being kind, respectful, and generous to your partner. You can risk acting on your desires, sexual and otherwise, bringing it up with your partner even if you're not sure how your partner will react, rather than shutting yourself down. You can cope with the inevitable difficulties you encounter with strength and resolve. And through it all, you can experience your life as meaningful. You're part of something much bigger than yourself and your partner. So you need faith. What if you don't have it? Well, faith isn't a commodity or a belief. You don't get it by reading about it or being convinced of it. You get faith by practicing it. It's a skill. And that means making a choice to develop that skill. You start by choosing faith rather than despair or cynicism. And then you practice making that choice over and over. What does that mean in real life? It means that you respect yourself so you get control of your own behavior. You get less reactive and more assertive with your partner, and stop throwing tantrums or giving your partner the silent treatment. Maybe you realize that you're triggered by old traumas and you seek therapy to work on it. And if your partner is throwing tantrums, you're less susceptible to them. You stop being intimidated, which oddly enough means you can also be more understanding and patient with your partner. Basically, as one of my daughters-in-law described it when I was talking to her about the ideas in this video, you grow the F up, what her generation refers to as adulting. Getting a hold of yourself in that way challenges your partner to do the same. Whether or not your partner can rise to the occasion, you're participating differently. Your old patterns stop trapping you. And that's when things get interesting, because when you come alive again, when you can risk honesty with yourself and your partner, when you grow the F up, then your relationship will change. Exactly how it will change isn't always predictable. That's why you need resilience. But it will change. I mentioned in part 1 that couples sometimes experience a resurgence of passion when there's some sort of crisis, like an affair or a separation. Well, even just one of you coming alive and getting hold of yourself after years of being stuck creates a crisis too. A crisis that will either rekindle your passion or help you decide to make other plans. Maybe you'll find that you can risk letting yourself love your partner again rather than shutting down to protect yourself from hurt. When you respect your own validity and recognize you're not as fragile as you feared, you also discover you can forgive your partner's imperfections as well as acknowledge your own. You'll stop waiting to feel completely relaxed with your partner and realize that it's up to you if you want to connect passionately or not. You can risk rejection by offering yourself, or be clear that you will no longer accept being stuck in a deep freeze. You can even decide to accept a platonic relationship, but you'll accept responsibility for your choice, whatever it is, and stop blaming your partner for what you've chosen. Notice how different this is from rules or techniques or strategies. This isn't about just do it. Apologies to Nike. This is harder. Anyone can tell you what to do. This is about deciding for yourself. As I said, you have to develop the skill of faith by choosing it time after time, day after day. You know you're at a choice point when you're feeling anxious, especially around your partner, and you're feeling the pull to blame or shut down or act out. That's the moment you need to choose faith. The three kinds of faith in your validity, resilience, and purpose. It takes practice. It might take therapy, either individually or as a couple. And the first step, by the very nature of faith, can feel like a vault into the unknown. But faith is what will give you your passion back. The choice is up to you. I'm Dr. Bruce Chalmer. If you have topics you'd like me to talk about, drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you.